Hey, everybody, it's Mike. I'm back. Do some more Krishna Cult updates. I want to talk about child marriage, and some new shit has come to light. Um,
Man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light, and, you know, has it ever occurred to you that instead of, running around blaming me, given the nature of all this new shit, this could be a lot more complex. I mean, it might not be just such a simple, you know?
exactly. Um, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So we're gonna get right to that. We're gonna get right into the child marriage. Talk about child marriage. Give us a spin of the wheel of idiot. See where that lands, and whatever else comes up. So we're gonna get right to it with the opening.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today with this with this new episode of Krishna Cult updates. And today I'm going to be talking about child marriage. I got some new stuff going on. Plus, we're going to watch some old stuff just so you can get an idea, and for all the new viewers, because I've talked about child marriage before, and this is just come across. Just come across the Hare Krishna wire, okay? And of course, it's coming from the crazy Hare Krishna page. Where is it? Right here. It's coming from this crazy Hare Krishna page. Now, of course, the person that wrote this, they don't leave their name because they're afraid to leave their name. They don't want to leave their name. They don't want to be connected to, they don't want to be singled out as someone who is speaking out or someone who's just recognizing something. They can't do that in the cult. So even though they're not going to the media, they're not going to the police, they're not going, they're not making a big deal of it themselves. They're just relaying information. They don't want to leave their name. They don't want to leave their name or date or location or anything like that. So I can't, I can't speak on the authenticity of what's being said, but it's being published on a Hare Krishna webpage that publishes this type of material. So I take it as being factual, otherwise it wouldn't be on this webpage. So again, it's on a Hare Krishna webpage, and it's being published by this person that publishes this type of material. So there's no reason for me to not believe it. Although there is no, like I said, there's no name, no location, no time, no date, no anything. But I am gonna share it because it is important. It's very important. So it says, and I don't, because I talk about child marriage. I've talked about child marriage a lot, and I bring it up about 12-year-old girls, 11-year-old girls, 13-year-old girls, and these gurus, and if you open up Prabhupada's books, it's in there. But you kind of got to connect the dots to really get a really good picture. You got to connect those dots, but sometimes the dots connect themselves. Okay, I mean, what can I say? Sometimes the dots connect themselves, and you don't have to do any work. It comes right to you. So here we go. Here we go. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It says here, another testimony. Another testimony. It says, quote, years ago, I attended Jayapataka Swami's Gaur Pranim feast with my family. My daughters had been helping all day. My eldest, just 13, finally sat down to eat, and an elderly Mataji, a senior Prabhupada disciple, approached us. She smiled and said how beautiful my daughter was, then asked if we'd consider her a match for her 37-year-old son. 37 is what it says here, in quote, 37 with exclamation points. When I said, quote, she's only 13, unquote, she didn't back off. She just said, quote, maybe when she's 16 then, unquote. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, especially from a white Western woman who should know full well that child marriage is abuse. But this wasn't an isolated event. Another Gurukula mother used to tell me in the temple, we should start looking for your daughter now. 13 is the perfect age. And the most painful part, her own father said the same kind of things. A girl doesn't need an education, just enough to read and write. She should be married as soon as she hits puberty. These were things he said while our daughter, still a child, was still building her confidence. She needed protection, and I realized I had to protect her from her own father. So I left him, and I left ISKCON, because spiritual grooming is still grooming. When adults pressure or normalize the idea of marrying off children, that is abuse. Let's talk about spiritual grooming, because many don't even realize it's happening. Spiritual grooming happens when someone uses religious authority, scripture, or tradition to pressure others, especially children, into roles or behavior that harm them, while making it seem like a spiritual duty. It sounds like, this is what chaste girls do. This is our culture. Questioning it is offensive. If you speak up, you are committing aparad. This kind of manipulation breaks down trust, identity, and a child's natural sense of safety. It silences them. It teaches them to accept pressure and confusion as part of spiritual life. Using scripture to control is not devotion, it's abuse. What can help? Education, awareness, open conversation. We need to talk about these things in classes, in communities, in training programs for parents and teachers. We need to teach what healthy boundaries look like, that childhood is sacred and must be protected, that true spiritual leadership uplifts and supports, not controls and manipulates. Because without awareness, the cycle continues quietly and dangerously. Now, I'm going to talk about all of that in just a moment. But I do want to mention that on this Krishna webpage, he did put another testimony. He did put another testimony, and then he published this letter, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know where he got it from, but he published it on his webpage. Probably because it says Jayapataka Swami's Gaur Pranim feast. But he doesn't respond to this. He doesn't have anything to say about this letter. He has absolutely zero to say about this. He doesn't comment about it because he knows that it's true. And he knows, and she even says here, she needed protection, and I realized I had to protect her from her own father. So I left him, and I left ISKCON. And then she goes on to say, because spiritual grooming is still grooming, and then goes on. So he doesn't even comment on the fact that she felt that ISKCON was so dangerous that she had to leave and take her child with her. Hey, good morning. It's good to see you here. I know it's early. It's early here in this part of the world, but I got things to do today, and I wanted to get this going. Because it's important. So thanks for joining in. Please like, share, and subscribe so more people can know about this. So this is something that obviously just happened because she's talking about. So now I'm going to go over and I'm going to talk about what is in this, my comments on this another testimony. For one, first thing off is the person didn't leave their name. So we don't know who this is or who these people are. But obviously they are a Jayapataka Swami disciple. Otherwise, why are they at Jayapataka Swami's Gaur Pranim feast with the whole family? The whole family's there. So it must be the husband, the father, is this Jayapataka Swami disciple, or I don't know. That's my Sherlock on the whole thing, right? So anyway, so she says my eldest is just 13. So she'd been in for at least 13 years, married to this guy. She was a devotee for at least 13 years. She's got other kids because she says my eldest is 13. So she's got other kids that are younger than 13. This senior Prabhupada disciple was an elderly Mataji. She knows all about the child marriage. She knows all about it. Like, she went right up to her and said, "Hey, your daughter is," and okay, so here it is. So they just go on this totally superficial bodily platform of your daughter is beautiful. Let's hook her up with my 37-year-old son. Not how devotional is your daughter? Is she, how trained up in devotional service is she? Is she worshiping the deities? Does she chant her rounds? Is she initiated? Who's her guru? Nothing like that. Just, hey, your daughter's beautiful. Let me hook your daughter up with my son, who's a 37-year-old creep who wants a 13-year-old wife. We're not talking about 1899. We're not talking about 1860. We're not talking about 1870 or 1900 or 1910, 1922 or 1945 or 1950 or 1965 or 1977. We're talking a few years ago. She says this is a few years ago. It doesn't say a few years. It says years ago. I don't know how many years ago. Less than 10, that's what I'm assuming. Otherwise, she'd have said, decades ago, or a decade ago, or 10 years ago. So it's years ago. It's a multiple of years, less than 10. That's what I'm thinking. She smiled and said how beautiful my daughter was, and then asked if we'd consider her as a match for her 37-year-old son. Does she even know your 37-year-old son? Has she ever met your 37-year-old son? You just walk up and go, hey, your daughter's beautiful. Have you considered her being married to my son? What fucking world are they living in? Absolutely right, fake human. She took her kids. I'm out of here. I think that's what you're saying. And she said she's only 13. And she didn't take that as a hint. She just said, oh, okay, well, maybe when she's 16. 16. 16. Because to the Hare Krishnas, what is she going to do? She ain't going to date. She's not going to it's not going to be a American Graffiti or anything. It's not like she's going to go dating. She's a Hare Krishna. She's a girl in the Hare Krishnas. 13, she's ready to get married. Not 13, okay, 14, 15, what, 16? What are we talking here? This is Hare Krishna. We're not talking real world. She's not going to grow up and be 16, go to high school and have a boyfriend and go dating and go to the whatever kids do nowadays, because they don't go to the mall anymore. Go hang out on their phones and text each other and I don't know what kids do nowadays. In my day, they went to the mall. They hung out at the mall. You're not doing that. So she's not going to date. She's not going to go meet boys and go date and then pick a husband, her own husband, when she's 21, 22, 23, whatever. She's a Hare Krishna. She's a 13-year-old Hare Krishna girl. What else is she going to do? This is how the old Prabhupada lady is thinking. She's a girl in the Hare Krishna movement. This is what we do. This is what I was saying before. This is what I was saying about all these Eastern European and these Russians and these Ukrainians and Poland and wherever they are, where they're preaching heavy and getting these women into this Hare Krishna, marry them off, and they have kids, and then those 13-year-old, 11, 12, 13-year-old girls, and they're over there in Vrindavan with their little girl, with their babies, with their family, 13. And I was saying, what's going to happen? What are they going to do when they come up and go, hey, you're 11-year-old girl, you're 13-year-old girl. We got an old man that needs a wife. And look, I'm absolutely. This is the way it really happens. I knew it happens, but I didn't have.
Man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light, and, has it ever occurred to you that instead of, running around blaming me, given the nature of all this new shit, this could be a lot more complex. I mean, it might not be just such a simple,
I'm saying, You got your little baby over there in Vrindavan and you're all Hare Krishna, but wait till that little baby, wait till that little girl turns 11, 12, and then they come along and they go, hey, your guru comes along and says, I got a disciple that needs a wife. He's 35 years old and you got a 13-year-old daughter, and that's Vedic. That's exactly what he wants. So she goes on. She says, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, especially from a white Western woman who should know full well that child marriage is abuse. No, it's Vedic. There's no such thing as abuse. There's no such thing as pedophilia. It's just Vedic. It's either Vedic or it's not. And if it's not, it's sense enjoyment, and it's karmi, and it's this, and it's that. Or it's Vedic and devotional. It's one or the other. You can't have something be Vedic and then be pedophilia. That's offensive. That's why Jitterati and Dhammagosh and Tattva Darshan and Yashodanandan, and they all want to come out and say, no. 12-year-old girls, 11, 12-year-old girls, 13-year-old girls, there's nothing wrong with that. It's Vedic. And this guy on this webpage, he doesn't say anything. He's got nothing to say about this. He's got it in there because he recognizes that something's going on. Someone's complaining, but he doesn't comment at all about it. He doesn't say, well, it's Vedic, or child marriage is abuse. He doesn't agree that child marriage is abuse, because then that's going against what Prabhupada has to say. He doesn't say anything about this, whether it's good. You don't know what his opinion on this is, whether he's for it, against it. He's for child marriage. He's against the woman leaving ISKCON, but he doesn't want to say he's against the woman leaving ISKCON because he agrees with the idea that these children were abused. So he's totally tongue-tied on this one. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know whether to agree with her, that she was right to leave. He's not going to say she was right to leave. Oh, yeah, you were right to grab your daughters and get the hell out of there. He's not going to say that. So I left him, she says, and I left ISKCON because spiritual grooming is still grooming. He doesn't have anything to say about that? Spiritual grooming happens when someone uses religious authority, scripture, or tradition to pressure others, especially children, into roles or behavior that harm them while making it seem like a spiritual duty. He doesn't have anything to say about that. He's got nothing to say about that. The guy who can't shut up, he can't shut his fucking trap for 5 seconds about anything. He's got nothing to say about this. But he puts it on his webpage because it somehow connects child abuse to Jayapataka. No, it connects child abuse to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's the one who says that 13-year-old girls need to get married, 11-year-old gopis with their breasts full of milk and all this stuff. And Ramananda Roy and his touching little girls. And Prabhupada was 22 when he had sex with an 11-year-old girl. Now, how can you get mad at Tattva Darshan when Prabhupada was having sex with an 11-year-old girl? How dare you? You criticize any devotee who's having sex with a 13-year-old girl or a 12-year-old girl, then you're criticizing Prabhupada for having sex with an 11-year-old girl when he was 22 years old. Yeah, that's right, I am. I'm criticizing all of them. Because I'm a normal person. I'm not a fucking brainwashed cult freak who thinks that it's Vedic to have sex with little girls. Fucking hey, man. Hey, good morning, man. Glad to see you, man. I got your email with the tatva, and I'm gonna go I'm gonna go over all of that. So let me go on. Okay, so she says she needed protection. She's saying about her daughter. Here we go. The most painful part, her own father said the same kind of things. A girl doesn't need an education, just enough to read and write. She should be married as soon as she hits puberty. So they brainwash these people into being pedophiles. I mean, how are you a father of a 13-year-old girl, 12-year-old girl, and say that my daughter doesn't need an education? She just needs to learn to read and write, and I need to get her married as soon as she hits puberty so she can be a good friggin' wife for some old man. He's like sex trafficking his own daughter because he thinks it's Vedic. This shit is not Vedic. Sex trafficking your own daughter because you think it's devotional service, or it's Varnashram, or it's Vedic bullshit. You need to be fucking locked up. And she was right to fucking get her kids away from this psycho dad. Psycho dad wants to sex traffic his own daughters. Let that fucking sink into your head, man.
Man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light, and, you know, has it ever occurred to you that instead of, running around blaming me, given the nature of all this new shit, this could be a lot more complex. I mean, it might not be just such a simple, you know?
When you understand and you connect this is a big fucking dot that needs to be connected. This lady just gave away a major portion of all this bullshit. She just told everybody how old Prabhupada disciples, they already know that little girls got to get married at 13, 11, 12, 13. Old Prabhupada disciples know, like Yashodanandan and Dhamma and Jittarati and Tattvadarshan. They know that touching these girls and doing this stuff, that it's Vedic, combined with the idea that you can't criticize these guys even if they fall down. Guys are allowed to run off with Rameshwar is allowed to run off with a young girl and come back and sit in the temple and give lectures and go to Mayapur and be worshipped and whatever. He ran off with an underage girl. He was a guru. Kirtananda is buried in Vrindavan. He has a samadhi in Vrindavan where people go and throw flowers at his dead corpse and say prayers to him and shit. And what is he famous for? He's famous for being a fucking pedophile and murdering devotees. And this husband saying his own daughter needs to be married at 13. To who? Why? It's fucking disgusting shit. excuse me, you know, and then they do this shit, and then they run off to Mayapur, where no one's gonna find them, and then of course they run off to Cambodia one day, get caught up in a sting operation because you were dumb enough to end up in a hut with a 12-year-old girl. How do you do that? How do you get set up doing that? Especially when you're some fucking holy man. And then you get out of jail and you go, and now you can go lecture at the Ritvik temple in India, and they treat you like you're friggin' some holy man. You're gonna fucking sit there and lecture. We're gonna talk about that, but in another show. But all these guys, this is why they don't give a fuck. This is why they don't give a fuck about Lokanath. This is why they didn't give a fuck about the guy touching my daughter. They don't give a fuck about this shit. Because to them, they don't care. Women are fucking ignorant, stupid, have small brains. They like to get raped anyway. You're just scratching an itch. Whether by force or not, you're just scratching her itch, and she's going to enjoy it anyway. And if she's underage, so what? That's the best time. That's when they're most beautiful, as Jitterati says. Dhamma says. Prabhupada said, my wife was everything. But I didn't like her. Well, yeah, she was 11 years old. You were a 22-year-old man. Mayapur has a ton of these pedophiles. I know. I've seen them walking around and no one even bats an eye. I know. I've never been to Mayapur. I would never freaking go there. What am I going to go there? Vrindavan, a lot of these gurus and guys, they don't go to Vrindavan. Because the people in Vrindavan, they don't like that shit. they all go to Mayapur. They come into Vrindavan and they hang out and they leave, but they don't get the reception that they do in Mayapur. At least that's what I understand. That's my understanding. So, okay. So then she says, so she gets into this thing about spiritual grooming. She says she left ISKCON. She says she left ISKCON because spiritual grooming is still grooming. So she's saying ISKCON is guilty of spiritual grooming, spiritually grooming these children and spiritually grooming men. So she's saying the same thing I'm saying. She's saying it is, but she connected two big dots that I hadn't connected before, which is it's spiritually grooming the women, the girls, the little girls, and the men. It turns the men into these pedophiles that want a 13-year-old girl, and it grooms the girls into believing that they should be the wife of some old man. And of course, that's what's going on when, but I just had never really thought of it. You're putting the two together now. You've got a full-on pedophile cult. There's no other way to explain it. There's no other way to explain it. You've got on the male side, you've got the teachings that it's okay, that you have to forgive these guys because you're committing offense if you don't forgive them. If you don't forgive Tattva or Bhavananda or Rameshwar, then you're the one. You have to forgive them if they want to come back, and you have to let them stay if they don't want to leave. If Trivikram doesn't want to leave, or Lokanath doesn't want to leave, or any of these guys don't want to leave, then that's tough titty. Then they get to leave. They get to stay. If they don't want to leave, it's too bad. They get to stay. We're not kicking them out just because you're pissed off about child marriage or your daughter was abused. or your child was raped in the school. That doesn't mean we're getting rid of anybody. Go back and read the books. Go back and chant some more. Obviously, you don't understand. You're missing out. You're missing something. Because if you were really reading the books and you were fully understanding devotional service, when your child gets raped or molested, you don't say anything. You don't go to the police. You don't raise a stink. You don't cause a big thing. That's the way of the world. Women are less intelligent. Women like to get raped. It's just an itch. Your daughter's 11. She's overdeveloping. She's even better than an 11-year-old girl. Your daughter's even better than an 11-year-old girl because your daughter looks like a 13-year-old, but she's only 11. So, you really got it going on. That's what they're trying to say. These sick fucks. These sick fucking disgusting pieces of shit. This lady was right. She said, I got to protect my daughter. I got to get my kids out of here. I got to get them away from their father. Their father wants to sex traffic them to some fucking freak. She got women coming up to her in Mayapur saying, hey, your daughter's beautiful. You ever thought about marrying her off to some creep? You believe this shit? You believe this shit? So, because of this new shit that's come to light, we're gonna go back and we're gonna look at this, a little bit of this, and this guy. I can't stand this guy. He is like so complicit in all of this crap, and he thinks he's not. He thinks he's insulated, and like, I'm not part of this stuff. I'm not part of any of this crap that I have on my show. I have nothing to do with it. I'm CBS or something.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 149. Yes, 149. We're just one episode away from our 150th episode. I'm very grateful to everyone who tunes in on a weekly basis to watch these podcasts. We have a very large, global, supportive audience. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you haven't already, to hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and videos. Great. No worries. It's great. And because for me, that's really important. And I have a really strong passion for helping people to share their stories. And I really am keen to have mature conversations about really important issues. And this week's podcast will be no different. I'm really, really pleased to welcome our guest this week. It's Vilas. Hi, Vilas.
Thank you.
It's great. No worries. It's great to have you with us. I'm pleased that we found a day and a time where both of our diaries linked together. That's, yeah, not always so easy, particularly when I interview people in New Zealand or some other place that I've, never heard of. Now, I was just thinking before we started this podcast, is how this came about. I think your story was shared with me about a month ago. And then I kind of looked you up online and I read your story. And I was very inspired by particularly the work that you're doing now to raise awareness of your own experiences in life. And I'm not going to tell everyone what the story is because you're going to share it with us. So let's start with the first question. It's the first question actually that most guests get, just to kind of warm them up. Can you tell us a bit about you and where you are from?
Oh, that's a loaded one. So I was born in ISKCON in what we called the Hare Krishna movement, but I see there's like a dissection now of people who have wanted to uh, distance themselves from ISKCON itself. I was born in ISKCON in 1969 in LA, in the LA temple. And my parents were opened the LA temple, and shortly thereafter, I was about a year and a half when we went to England, and my parents did some work there at the temple, and then I was dropped off in Dallas when I was about 3 in the Dallas Gurukul. And I don't know if your viewership is aware that the Dallas Gurukul was shut down for child abuse a couple of years later. And definitely, some of the most horrific years of my life.
Okay, so I know I've done this before, but her parents, when she was 3 years old, they just abandoned her in Dallas in the Gurukul school. And they knew it wasn't like a real school. They knew what it was. They knew it was just a house that they had turned into a makeshift. It was just a big babysitting preschool. I mean, she's 3 years old. She's not even school age. She's not even at the age where she would be in school. Like, she's not even capable of really learning. I mean, she's 3. So she's not even really at the age where she belongs in a boarding school. She belongs with her parents. That's where she belongs. 3 years old. Not 5, not 6, not 7. 3. I mean, she's barely out of diapers, right? I mean, she's barely... I mean, she can barely even really communicate. I mean, can she, at 3 years old, can she really express herself and explain what, I mean, she's 3. And now she's in the care of these Hare Krishna strangers that have to take care of her. It's not like she's just in school. And she's going to school for 8 hours a day, and then she goes home. No, this is a full-time friggin' job for them. Yes, that's a toddler. Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely mad. It's 3 years old. So they can go cosplay and beg with a book. They abandoned their toddler. Who told them to do that? Prabhupada told them to do that. She was born in 1969. Prabhupada had total control over every single person in his movement at that time. He could write a letter to whoever, temple or whatever, and say, I want Narada Das to go to Atlanta and open up a temple. And they would go... He probably wrote him a letter and said, I want you to go to London and just put your kid in the school in Dallas. What do you think I opened a school for? Another soul sacrificed for book distribution. They sacrificed their kid and their relationship with their kid because Prabhupada brainwashed them into saying, that's not really your kid anyway. It's not really your kid. You're not really the parents. It's just temporary. You're just like corks in the ocean that come together and meet and then separate. You're not really. It's like 2 sticks floating in the river, and sometimes they're next to each other and sometimes they're not. It's... Most of the crazy Maharajas are beyond insanity and madness. They don't even take care of toddlers. If they are, man, Knitting Cult Lady talks about, she talks about how women and children are obviously they're the most abused, but they're also the ones that are really damaged the most. Freeing up the perverts so they can go make money to build temples in India freeing up the parents so they can go make money to build temples in India to Prabhupada's ego. Absolutely. To go sell books. Go make money. Go by hook or by crook, sell those books, open up a temple. You know, temples are basically just a hub for books distribution, right? You got to have you got to have a temple, and you got to sell books. So the temple is where the books are. That's where the devotees live. That's where the books are. And during the day, when there's nothing to do at the temple, you go out, you sell books, and you come back, and then you have your little thing, and then you read Krishna book and eat your raisins, and you go to bed. And you get up and you start it all over again. So they put her, she's 3. She was born in 69, 70, 71, 72. 1972. 71, 72, her parents jet off to London, and she goes into the Gurukula.
In Dallas. And then my parents, right before Dallas Gurukul closed, had gone to open a temple in Iran. And so because the temple had closed, I went to Iran to live with them there. And then there was the revolution. So Prabhupada died when I was in Iran. So then my mom and I went to India. And we lived in Mayapur for a while. It seemed like disaster just followed me. So then there were the floods in Mayapur in 1978, and we left Mayapur. We were both very sick. My mom had typhoid, malaria. I had jaundice and typhoid, and then so I'm 8.
So I've heard this story before. It's very disturbing to hear it again because I know it's coming. So if any of you are triggered by any type of hard luck stories like this,
I'm 9 years old by this time, and my grandfather was living in Hawaii, and my mother took us there to recover from our illnesses. So this is the first exposure I'd had at all to the Karmi world, right? I had never seen a television, sat on a sofa. I mean, I had no contact with the outside world. And so it was like going from the depths of hell to whatever anybody's perfect concept of nirvana was. And so Hawaii was amazing, and it was peaceful, and it was beautiful, as people are aware. And then of course my mother was like, "Oh no, this is Maya. We got to get back." So
she says, she doesn't know anything about except being a devotee. But when she sees the Karmi world, she says, "Oh my God, this is like nirvana. I was living in hell." That was her first thought, right? When she gets to Hawaii and she's experiencing living the way Karmis live.
Then I went back to India for a little bit, and then came back to the States, and I was in a Gurukul in Gitanagari, Pennsylvania, for a couple of years. And one summer, I was 13 years old, and my father was now the temple president of the Potomac Temple in Maryland. And I had asked to go to the New Vrindavan festival that they were having. And that's where sort of my insaner life began, from that experience. But my history was being raised sometimes mostly in Gurukul, but sometimes by my mom. Obviously there was no Gurukul in Iran. And when I was in Mayapur, there wasn't a girls' ashram, there was a boys' ashram. But
okay, I do want to make a point here that anybody who's watching out there who has no idea what's going on, even if whether you're Hare Krishna or not. Her story, as outrageous as it is, and how crazy as it is now, and it's going to get crazier. Her story is not unique. Her story is very normal. Her story is typical of a lot of Krishna kids whose parents either put them in a school or traipsed them around the world and ended up, they didn't get much of an education because they never really went to school. They were in a half-ass school, half-ass boarding school, here or there, maybe living on a farm community for a while, maybe going to India for a couple of years. I mean, even the kids that I knew, this Krishna Kata Dasi that lived in Badger that I went to India with, she had 3 or 4 kids. They weren't in like a regular school. She was traipsing them all around the world. They'd go to India for months at a time, would come back, go here, lived in Florida, lived in Badger, wherever. These kids weren't getting an education, not like a normal education. And they're grown now. If they're still around, they're like in their 30s and 40s now, those kids. And who knows what happened to them? But what she's saying is typical. It's a normal, typical of children in the Hare Krishnas at the time that she's talking about, being born in the late 60s and 70s, the life and even into the 80s, had the same type of life that she's describing here.
So, I really wasn't necessarily in school. I mean, I don't know if I would consider Gurukula school anyway. It's more of a guru indoctrination plan rather than educate you for life with, world history, or we didn't learn anything about the real world. We learned about the Krishna world.
Can I just ask, were your parents, or are your parents, I'm not sure if they're still around, disciples of Srila Prabhupada?
Yes.
Okay.
Early disciples, yes.
And so they converted around the mid to late 60s.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They met Prabhupada in San Francisco.
He's having a hard time. He's having a hard time understanding how devotees could be like this, but this is what Prabhupada wanted. This is all happening under Prabhupada's direction. And like I said, at that time, 1969, 1970, Prabhupada could send a letter to anybody in the movement or the temple president anywhere he had a temple, and he could just say, I want Balaram and whoever to get married, and I want them to go to Japan, Tokyo, and open up a temple. I want so-and-so and so-and-so to go to here, and I want a temple in Calgary, Canada, and they would do it. And nobody did anything without Prabhupada. Nobody did anything without Prabhupada saying, okay. You think somebody could just get up and go to Tucson, Arizona and open up a temple and say, hey, Prabhupada, I'm going to Tucson, Arizona, I'm going to open up a temple? He'd say, no, you're not. I want you to go to Dallas, or I want you to go to do this, or I want you to buy a bus, and I want you to travel around the country with a bus full of books and have your traveling Sankirtan party, and I want you and so-and-so to go do that. Go travel around the world. Go travel around the country. Go to college to college. Prabhupada told these people what to do. He's having a hard time. He's like, your parents are Prabhupada disciples? I mean, what the hell is going on? Yeah, they're Prabhupada disciples.
Ashbury, I think, in 1967, 66, 67, so very early.
Are they still around now? Can I ask your parents?
My father is. My mother passed a couple of years ago, and my mom had mostly, left ISKCON, was not applying her life to the philosophies or anything. And my father is still a devotee, but he's not connected to ISKCON, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. He still does a lot with ISKCON. He keeps it from me, for our relationship.
Yeah, I can understand that. Okay, and you've kind of answered this already, but in terms of before you were 13, what was life like growing up in the Hare Krishna movement in ISKCON? I mean, you've talked about traveling around a lot, but was it a positive childhood pre the age of 13, or was it not? Was it awful? Was it great? Was it a bit of both?
Um, so adventurous is a word I can use. Positive is definitely not a word I would use. It was an education, but not one that was spent in a classroom. It was an education of life. It was austere. It was loveless. There's 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 no there's no love taught in ISKCON. It's all we're just passing, straws in the ocean or whatever. Like
He's so desperate to find something good that happened because of this, because that's part of the part of the brainwashing. It's part of the cognitive dissonance. He's like he can't accept the fact that all this horrible stuff could have happened. Something must have went wrong, and no, this is exactly what they wanted. This is exactly what they wanted. They wanted her to be married at 13. They wanted her they wanted her to grow up in the Gurukula. They wanted her to. This is all what Prabhupada wanted. Prabhupada wanted her in the Gurukula. He wanted her to be married at 13. Everything. Prabhupada created a huge assembly of monsters, fanatics, early brainwashing an innocent child is suffering. He absolutely did, man. You put it great. He did. That's a great way to put it. He assembled. He created a huge assembly of monsters, fanatics, and brainwashed abusers. That's exactly what he did, man. He created this whole thing, and it's self perpetuating, and it's still going on. It's not like he created this thing and this is we're talking. No, it's still going. It's like a moving friggin' bulldozer that just keeps fucking shit up as it moves along. It hasn't stopped. He created these monsters are still there. These abusers are still there. Like this guy can't even come to grips with it. He just doesn't. He doesn't get it.
not supposed to develop connections or um relationships with people, even if they're your child or your mother or your sibling. It's very cold and
It's very kind of mechanical or robotic, isn't it?
sterile. Yes.
Mm.
And dude, you're in it and you support it, and this is what you are all about. Everything that she's saying, all the bad shit that she's saying, you support that 100%. It's it's like he's acting like he's not part of this cult.
Very
Mm.
sterile.
Um,
So growing up, it was there was a strong indoctrination of survival.
mm, mm.
Survive, get through this life, get to the other side, and hopefully, you know, do whatever you got to do, and then say Hare Krishna right before you die, and it doesn't matter what kind of hellion you were. Sorry for the irreverence.
It's fine. You can say what you want, as you know.
You can say what you want because I don't care. I'm still a proponent of this, and you can say all this bad stuff, and you can make these jokes, and it's just gonna go right. It's gonna go right off me like water off a duck's back because I don't care. I'm brainwashed to not care. I don't care about the child abuse. I don't care about what's happened to you because I support this 100%. And he's just like, he's trying. He wants to be me. He wants to be me sitting there going, hey, it's okay because I'm not part of this cult. No, you are part of this cult. You've got the Hare Krishna. It says the Hare Krishna podcast or Hare Krishna project. You got beads around your neck. You wear tilak. You chant. You promote Prabhupada and his Prabhupada's books. The shit that this guy believes and the books that he reads and all the stuff that all that shit is the reason why she's sitting there. If it wasn't for the shit that he believes, she wouldn't even be sitting in that chair. She would have had a normal fucking life. But no, she's sitting there describing all the hell that she went through because of the shit that he believes and he supports. Indoctrination of survival. What the fuck? Little kids. Since she was a toddler, she's been trying to survive. She didn't even know who her parents. She didn't know her parents. She's dropped off at 3 years old. She didn't even know who her parents were. This is friggin' insane. And we haven't even gotten to the crazy part yet.
Hit the record button. You can say what you want. So, your story that I read about.
And the funny thing is that she recognizes that he's a fucking brainwashed cult member. She knows that. She's not gonna, say, hey, you're brainwashed. But she knows. You can tell by her attitude. You can tell by the way she talks. You can tell by her facial expression. She knows. She knows they all are.
Months ago, really kind of showed that today now you've become quite a vocal campaigner against child marriage and a campaigner for greater child protection, particularly in the USA, but I'm sure for other parts of the world as well. Can you tell us a bit about what's led to that? What were the experiences for you around the age of 13 that's led to you being such a strong advocate against child marriage now?
So I asked my father if I could go.
I think this guy acts like an idiot on purpose because I don't think anyone could actually be as stupid as he is. I just don't. I honestly don't. It's almost like he's a Monty Python character. It's like Eric Idle is playing this guy and pretending to be the dumbest podcaster on the face of the earth. That's
This New Vrindavan festival, and so there was a group of devotees going. He agreed. I jumped in the back of the van, drove to West Virginia, and crashed in the Brahmashrini ashram or wherever, and met up with some of my old Gurukuli friends that I had seen in various Gurukuls throughout my childhood and missed them, and these are my friends. And I encountered this guy was singing on stage and bhajans and kirtan and whatnot. And I love music. I've since been introduced to Western music, so it's wonderful. And I talked to him, which wasn't supposed to. And he's like, "Oh, have you been to New Vrindavan before?" "No." Do you want me to show you where the most beautiful views are and blah, blah, blah. So I'm there with another friend of mine, and she's like, "Yeah, let's go." So we start heading down this path, and she said, "Oh, I can't go. I can't go." So she turns back, and I'm like, I'm adventurous and I'm a survivor. Yeah, I'm curious. And I go down this path. He shoves me down on the side of the dirt path in New Vrindavan. Right, still can hear the loudspeakers of the music playing. I can still hear the din of all of the devotees and everybody who are right by that palace of gold. And I have no idea what he's doing. You have to realize I was raised in this tiny bubble where, sure, every Bhagavatam class talks about, how horrible sex is. Okay, but nobody ever told us what that meant or what it was. or how to protect yourself from men. And so he throws me down and forcefully rapes me. He's biting me. He's has his, you know, he's a man. I'm a 13-year-old child. And he raped me and got up and went because he had to go back to the music podium. And I was there on the side of the road, covered in dirt, bite marks, bruises, semen.
This is the guy that was singing the kirtans and bhajans on the stage at the festival, and that's why I say you go to Venice Beach to the Rath Theater in Venice Beach. I don't think you're going to get raped behind the stage in Venice Beach, but you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't know who those people are. He raped one of his own Hare Krishna, a little 13-year-old Hare Krishna girl in his own cult. He was a grown man singing on stage, so he had this position of authority, and he just raped her like it was nothing, and then he just left like it was no big deal.
No idea what just happened to me. Not a clue. I don't have any idea what happened. And I get up. I'm wearing this really nice green sari. It was a festival. I was wearing a nice sari. And
Festival. She's at a festival.
Shakingly make my way back up the dirt path, and I met up with the girl who couldn't go, and I told her what.
Sounds like she's having a hard time recounting the story. It's not like her voice is breaking up and she's having trouble with the whole thing. Very traumatic to have to relive this on this show for this guy who doesn't even really give a shit because he's in the cult and he doesn't really care that this is, you know, that she grew up. She's 3 years old and put in the Gurukula and all of this stuff and going around the world with her parents and her parents. It's like he had like no emotion. He didn't care. Like he's not like, oh my goodness, they put you in the Gurukula when you were 3. No, he didn't care.
And she said, "Oh, you could be pregnant." And I was like, "What? How does? Where's the? I don't understand. What do you mean? That doesn't. How would I know how one gets pregnant? You know, they didn't teach that in Bhagavatam class. So I go back to the ashram and get in the shower and sat in the shower until."
So she made a comment there. They don't teach you that in Bhagavatam class. And, you know, it was just like this little remark. But that's a very heavy duty statement because she threw that out there. This is my take on it. She threw that out there to this guy because she knows that this guy is she knows he's a Hare Krishna. She knows he believes in this shit. She knows he's not going to say anything. She knows. He hasn't said anything yet. He's just sitting there like he's Walter Cronkite or something. Like he's trying to be like emotional and all. And she says there were so many things that she said where he could have had an opportunity to say something. She was talking about when they abandoned her in the Gurukula. When she was talking about all little things that she said like that about they don't teach you that in the Bhagavatam class. And she said that he was on stage, he was singing bhajans and kirtans. How do you go from singing bhajans and kirtans about Krishna, devotional service, to being in transcendental bliss, to go rape a little girl, you'll rape a little girl, and then go right back up on stage because you got to finish doing your kirtans and bhajans? when he asked her, "Your parents were devotees?" She should have said, like, "What do you fucking think? What do you?" I said I was born in the L.A. Temple. They stuck me in the friggin' Gurukula when I was 3. Went off to London to open a temple. Then you ask me, are my parents devotees? Disciples? Prophets? The fuck are you, stupid? This guy's like the dumbest fucking guy I've ever seen. Especially if you're gonna interview somebody. You're gonna interview a woman who's been abused and molested and raped and married off. You're gonna have her on your podcast and be like this emotionless prick about the whole thing while she's recounting her story. Sounds like she's practically in tears when she was talking about some of this stuff. And that's how these people are.
Hours and hours had gone by, and I went and found a bunk and went to sleep. And the van left back to Potomac the following morning. I was in it. And, thank God for saris, because I was mostly hiding the bruises and marks, but I couldn't hide the bite marks on my face and the bruises on my neck. And a devotee at the temple in Potomac saw me and said, what happened? And I was like, yeah, please don't tell my father. But I got beat up. I got beat up. I don't think I even knew the word rape or assault, or I didn't, that, we did not teach we taught girls to cover themselves. I was covered from head to toe when I got raped. So how'd that work out? I was not drunk. I was covered from head to toe. I didn't say anything that led him to believe that this was okay. And of course, she had to tell my father. And that blew up in my face. And I was sentenced to silence for 3 months. I was not allowed to speak for 3 months. And I spent
So how do you like that? So she gets raped at a Krishna festival. She's born into this movement. She's dumped off in a Gurukul. She's abused in the Gurukul because everybody was abused in the Gurukul. She's taken around the road. She doesn't get an education. She says I didn't get an education. I didn't learn like world history or math or anything. She goes to a festival. She gets beat up. Well, she says she was beat up. She gets abused and raped, and now she's being punished for this. Now she's going to be punished for this. And you try to explain that to me. And Mr. Narada Das over here, he's got nothing to say. He doesn't interrupt and say, "Hey man, I'm so sorry that all this happened to you. I can't believe that all this stuff is in Prabhupada's books. I can't believe I mean, maybe he's going to say it eventually. I don't know."
3 months in the kitchen at the Potomac Temple cooking. If I saw somebody walk into the walk-in cooler that I wanted to talk to, I'd run in there and just talk. I mean, I've never been a quiet girl. I've always had a mouth, I've always been an open book. I've shared my story. I'm not, I don't hide anything, so it was hard for a 13-year-old little chatty Cathy to shut up for 3 months. Meanwhile, I'd wake up in the morning, cook the food for the deities, and would spend the entire day in the kitchen and end up, going back to my room at 8 o'clock at night, going to sleep, doing the same thing all over again. And my mother was in India at the time. And my father called her and said, what do we do? And she said, I'm finding her husband. And, my mother didn't want me. My mother didn't want me from the beginning. My sister was 18 months older than me. She had a girl. This is some very, very patriarchal religion.
It's like this cult, you know what, it's like this cult teaches, it teaches parents how to abuse their children. It teaches men how to become pedophiles and women how to become victims. Women are taught to shut up, don't say anything, hide your bruises. You have a small brain, you like to be raped. You're Maya anyway. It's just an itch, needs to be scratched. Men are taught that 11-year-old girls are at their most beautiful, and Prabhupada was 22 when he had sex with his 11-year-old wife. And 11-year-old girl, that's perfect. That's the perfect time. Before puberty. 13, if not 13, how about, if not 11, how about 13? If not 13, okay, 16. How's 16? 16, okay. Trying to convince me through threats of violence that if I didn't accept that 11 and 12-year-old girls, that grown men having sex with 11, 12, and 13-year-old girls is somehow Vedic, I was being offender, and I needed to have violence on me. They wanted to come down and have it out with me because I said I'm not going along with this pedophilia stuff. With the 11, 12, 13-year-old girls. I'm not going along with that. You can't make me accept that a man that is having sex with a 12-year-old girl is not a pedophile. Well, then if you continue to say that, then we're going to come down there and kick your ass and, maybe worse. So now I have to be a pedophile. That's why this guy don't want to say nothing. He doesn't want to go against what Prabhupada has to say. Not if you want to stay in the Hare Krishnas, you can't. Not if he wants to keep doing his Hare Krishna Project podcast with Narada Das, episode 149, I Was a Child Bride in ISKCON. If he wants to get to episode 150, he's not going to make any waves about this woman and her story. He's going to sit there and shut up. He's going to let her talk, but he ain't going to criticize ISKCON or criticize Prabhupada or criticize any of these gurus or even criticize her parents. He's not going to do any of that. He's not going to do any of that. He's going to pretend like nothing ever happened. He's going to go on and, okay, thanks for being on the show. Join me next time on episode 150, where I'm going to talk about Bhakti Swimmer Pod and how he's going to go do his 10K swimmer marathon in London and swim down the Thames. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to address the fact that his cult is the cause of her friggin' hellish life that she's had up until the age of whatever, when she said, oh yeah, my life was horrible, but it really got bad when I turned 13. That's when I got raped and married off to some 28-year-old man who took me to India and left me and I mean, I could go on with this. It gets worse and worse, okay? If you haven't watched it, and you want to know more, go watch it, because this is just the beginning, okay? Her mother, I'll give you a little, I'll condense it down. Her mother finds a man, 28-year-old man, 26, 28, marries this 13-year-old girl, takes her to India, continues to rape her over there, and then when he's done with her, he just leaves her, and then she's abandoned in India, in Mumbai, 16 years old. She's 16 years old in Mumbai on her own. She becomes a prostitute, and she survives by being a prostitute in Mumbai, and then eventually she makes her way and she gets back to Australia or something, and gets her life together. And then eventually she reconnects with her mom and her dad, and then her mom passed away. So you can watch the rest of the video. It's great if you want to. It doesn't get any better really until the end when she completely leaves. Excuse me, but I just wanted to I wanted to show a little bit of this because it relates to the first part of the show where I was talking about the new shit that's come to light. Where this person is saying it wasn't 30 years ago when 25 years ago or 30 years ago when this woman was 13 and raped and married off. The letter that I read that's recent. That's just a few years ago when that woman came around and telling that lady, hey, your 13-year-old daughter is beautiful. All I can think about is how she'd make a great wife for my 37-year-old son. Fucking disgusting. Get the fuck away from me. That's what I would have told her. I would have said, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get the fuck away from me, you disgusting bitch. You look at my 13-year-old daughter and all you can think about is marrying her off to your fucking creepy-ass son? Your creepy-ass son wants a 13-year-old wife? And you're the mom that's out there trying to find him one? Ugh. Oh, that's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. And nobody can tell me this ain't no fucking pedophile cult. You can't tell me this ain't no pedophile cult with all the shit that's in Prabhupada's books. All that shit. And the child marriage, women coming out and saying, hey, they want to marry my daughter. This woman coming out and going, hey, I was married at 13 after being raped at a festival by a kirtan leader. And there's a part in this video where he asks her about child marriage, and she says, Prabhupada knew about it. This was all sanctioned by Prabhupada. And I'm not the only one. She says it right to him. I don't have time to go try and find that, but you can watch it if you want to see. And he's like, oh, really? Oh. Well, join me next time on episode 151 where Bhakti Swimmer Pod swims up the Thames. That's these fucking sick-ass fucking people. They're disgusting fucking people, man. Fucking disgusting. You got parents abandoning their kids at 3? Abandoning your kid at 3 years old? You couldn't find a family member to put your kid with so the kid could get a normal education? You at least go to school? Elementary school? You didn't have an aunt or an uncle or a grandma or a brother or a sister that would raise your kid? No, because they're going, what, you want me to raise your kid while you go play Hare Krishna in London? The fuck are you, nuts? Raise your own fucking kid. You ain't got enough fucking integrity, any fucking self-respect as a human being that you don't want to raise your own kid? Abandon your kid at 3 years old to a fucking cult? Oh, fucking disgusting. And that shit's still going on today. There are people like that today. They're putting their kids in these fucking schools in Mayapur and Vrindavan, just abandoning their kids to this cult. Kids that are born in friggin' Cleveland, Ohio, and friggin' Barcelona, Spain, and they don't belong in a friggin' concentration camp in friggin' Mayapur or Vrindavan or Tattva Darshan's farm in Kalur, India, wherever the fuck he's got his school. These kids born in Australia, New Zealand, born in wherever they are, end up in a friggin' Hare Krishna friggin' concentration camp, getting raped and abused and married off at 13? Fucking world is that? Your parents doing that. The parents today just voluntarily don't know how to drop my kid off in Mayapur. What do I know? I know you shouldn't be a parent. That's what I know. I know you shouldn't have kids. I know they should fucking lock you up. That's what you should do. If you're from Ohio and you got kids and you stick it like Krishna Cult in Badger, the fuck are those kids doing in fucking Vrindavan Gurukul getting abused when they were born in friggin' Florida? Now they gotta live a hellish life. Like she said, my life was hell. Goddamn hell. Oh, God. Working me up into a friggin'... I always get worked up, man. It's disgusting. I'm the man who knew too much. A lot of us are. We're the people who knew too much. We know too much about this shit. I know so much about this shit, I can't take it. And it's like therapy for me to come on here and freaking talk about it, because it's like, I gotta tell somebody. Somebody gotta know about this shit. I can't keep this shit to myself. I can't. Priestly Bites. Yeah, that's the new cereal. That's the new series. Devoteos. Devoteos and Guru Bites. Cinnamon toasted Guru Bites and Devoteos. Apple cinnamon Devoteos. It's fucking insane. These friggin' people, man. I swear. Back in the 90s, there was no Gurukul in Poland. Wealthy Polish devotees were sending kids at first to Sweden and then India. Man, I don't even want to hear about that. I don't even want to know, man. Krishna Kata's kids. I remember she said, I'm gonna put him in the Gurukul. And I was like, after everything you know about this Gurukul, after everything you know about these gurus falling down, after everything you know about Kirtanananda and Bhavananda and all of these Nandas, everything you know, and you still want to put your kid in that friggin' environment? Yeah, because she didn't want to deal with her kids. She didn't want to deal with them. She had like 3 boys, and she had no intention of raising them. I'll just stick them in the Gurukul. That's not their fault. What the fuck did they do to deserve that? That's friggin' child abuse, man. If your kid, I know it's like not constitutional or whatever, but if your kid is a U.S. citizen born in the United States, it should be illegal to put them in a boarding school in India. I'm just saying. I'm just looking out. I'm looking out for the safety of children. The only kids that should be allowed into a Indian boarding school are kids that are born in India. I know it sounds crazy, but these little American kids, these U.S. citizens, with all the rights that come, well, I don't know about right, all the rights that come with being a U.S. citizen, they should not be in a boarding school in India against their will. Nobody asked, like, look, hey, 3-year-old, nobody asked this little 3-year-old girl if she wanted to go into a boarding school in Dallas. Because she would have said, no, get me the fuck out of there. She wanted to be with her mom and dad, as that's where every 3-year-old wants to be, with their mom and dad. No, she just abandoned her kid into a boarding school in Dallas. And people were probably thinking, well, how bad can it be? I don't know. Ask her how bad it can be. Ask her how bad it can be. It can be as bad as fuck. She got abused, raped, married off at 13. raped again, abandoned in India. She became a prostitute, probably doing drugs. I don't know. I don't want to do, but she ended up getting her life together. Thank God. Thank God she didn't commit suicide. Like so many other kids that didn't get their lives together, that went through the same thing she did, and they ended up taking their own life. That's how horrible it is. That's how horrible it is. And if she had been a little bit weaker person, like not so mentally strong, emotionally strong, all the shit that she went through more shit by the time she turned 16 than most people go through in their whole life. She easily could have ended up dead in India, wandering the streets of Bombay in the red light district, being a prostitute in India at 16 years old, a white woman, a white 16-year-old girl being a prostitute in Bombay. She's lucky to be alive. She didn't take her own life. Somebody could have taken her life. She's a fortunate woman right there. They absolutely, they could write a book about her. She could write a book. It could be a movie. You want to talk about making a movie? They can make a movie about her. Any woman deserves I mean, look at all the causes that she could champion in one movie. Anti-cult movie, anti-child abuse movie, anti-child marriage movie, anti-fake guru movie, all in one movie. Women's liberation movie. I mean, the whole thing is it's like the perfect movie. It's the perfect storm. Champion all these causes and cast a spotlight on this the child marriage of this cult, the misogyny and the child abuse of this cult, all in one big movie. And you have Meryl Streep could play her. Martin Scorsese could direct it or something. That's how I think, because I'm a entertainment guy. I'm an entertainment guy. But anyway, that's my show for today, everybody. Please watch this video. Watch the whole thing. Or you can go back and you can watch one of my earlier video where I talk all about this video. I did a whole episode where I just went over this exact same video. So just remember when you're watching this video and you're watching her talk about it, that this same shit is going on today. It's going on today. Right now, somewhere, some 13-year-old ISKCON girl they're trying to marry her off to some old man somewhere. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. This lady should write a book. Absolutely. She should write a book and they should make a movie out of it. They should make a movie out of her story. Look, we only watched 18 minutes of an hour and 15-minute video. She has a lot more to say, a lot more. And I go over it in another show, in another way back, like a year ago. I already went over this. But because it related to the first part of the show, I wanted to show a little bit of this to get an idea what that other lady's talking about. Her story is why the other lady said, I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to get my kids out of here. Because they could end up like this woman. They end up like this woman. And she's not the only one. That's what's so, and that is the craziest thing, is that she's not the exception. This is typical for this cult. She's one of many. This cult's been around for a long time, and they've been doing the same exact shit for a long time. She's just the only one that's speaking out right now. And there's others that have spoken out. But she's got a hell of a story. So, hey, everybody, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. You really like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to be back soon, like 24 hours from now or so, with another show, another episode. And I didn't get to spin the wheel today because it went kind of long, but I'm definitely going to spin the wheel next time. I'm definitely going to do a whole show where we just spin the wheel the whole show. Just going to be keep spinning, spinning, spinning. So everybody, please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. We can get the word out to more and more people. And all you Hare Krishnas out there that are watching, go back and watch my other videos too. You got to go back and get caught up, and you'll see all the shit that's going on, and you'll learn the truth. And eventually, you'll get out of this cult, just like she did. You'll get out, and you won't be in it. You won't be in it anymore. So everybody, thanks again for watching. Everybody have a great day, great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are. Have some great luck, and please stay out of a cult. And for all of you haters out there that just don't know who I am and you don't like me, well, here I am as a Hare Krishna. So don't commit any offenses, okay, everybody? Please don't commit any offenses.